the invitation to join today's micro teaching session. I'm going to be talking about staff cost. And if you would permit me, I would like to share my screen. And let me know if you are having any problems with the internet, if it's breaking, if you can't hear me, kindly alert me as soon as possible. So, as I said, I'm going to be talking about staff cost. And this is the lesson plan. Lesson is supposed to take approximately 15 minutes. And within this 15 minutes, I'll use the first 2 minutes to talk about the introduction. I'll use about 1 minute to tell you about the content and objectives of the lesson. The main lesson should take approximately 10 minutes. And then I conclude and open the floor for questions. So, my name is Sika. I am a PhD student at the University of Miskolc in Hungary. I'm specializing in entrepreneurship. And as part of the Start and Improve Your Business training course I'm currently enrolled on, I'm required to make this 15 minutes micro teaching session. It's supposed to be an on-site teaching, but because of the current COVID situation, I decided to do it online. So I'm going to give you some ground rules. You can mute your microphones. You can turn on your cameras, and then to make the session a bit more interactive, if you have any questions, you can drop it in the chat box or comment section. So for the content and objective, it is my hope that by the end of the 15 minutes lesson, you should at least understand what staff cost means, most especially to the entrepreneur, know the different types of costs the entrepreneur incurs, and why are we even focusing on staff costs if there are so many types or different types of costs? So, as an entrepreneur or a business owner, before you start running a business, you should be aware or you should be well informed of some sort of costs which you incur. For instance, we have material costs. This is basically the cost of purchasing the raw materials. If you are in the production or manufacturing sector, you need raw materials which will be used as inputs in the production process to produce the products or services. So purchase of raw materials is one of the costs incurred. And then we also have transportation costs. You have to transport the raw materials or finished products or sometimes stock and inventories. So you have to pay for that, and that is also cost incurred. We have the wages and salaries. We have the equipment costs, electricity, water, telephone costs. We also have the lease or rental costs. That is, if you don't have your own place and you are renting a place to run the business, you pay for it, and that is the property rental cost. And also we have interest. If you go for loans from the banks to start up your business, definitely you pay some sort of interest on the loan. That is also another type of cost entrepreneurs incur, and etc. So in the chat box, I would plead with you to also write down other costs you think as a business owner or as an entrepreneur you incur in the course of running a business. So I'm sure by now, most of you are thinking staff cost is just the wages and salaries entrepreneurs or business owners pay to employees. But it will interest you to know that staff cost does not include only wages and salaries. It includes other benefits like the commissions we pay to our employees, the taxes like the Social Security, Medicare, payment of insurance premiums, pension deposits, and other fringe benefits. And so all in all, if we want to define staff cost, then we can say that the staff cost is the actual amount paid for all employee wages and salaries, as well as all the benefits which the staff member or employee is entitled to. And so as an entrepreneur, before you employ someone to work for you, for the person to enjoy these costs, you have to take into consideration a lot of factors. Now, sometimes it becomes very difficult when you want to know what actually to consider before employing a new staff member or a new employee. So here, I simply make the work of the entrepreneur a bit more easy by providing some 4 important factors that entrepreneurs should consider before hiring or before employing a new staff member. The first is qualification. Qualification. Now, the Oxford Dictionary simply defines qualification as a condition that must be fulfilled before a right can be acquired. And so before an entrepreneur or a business owner or a firm employs someone who enjoy the staff cost or who has the right to enjoy the staff cost, then the person should be qualified for the job. Another thing the entrepreneur should consider is the experience. The experience. Now, experience is simply a particular instance of personally encountering or undergoing something. What entrepreneurs mostly look out for is what we call the so-called on-job experience or on-the-job experience. So this means that at least the person you are hiring should have a practical experience or in the past have done similar or same task. So it becomes a bit more easier for the person to handle the new task that you are giving to him or her. The third one is specialty. Specialty. Now, specialty is a distinctive mark or quality in the subject of one's study or work. And as we are all in the field of academia, we know that some of us are specializing in finance, some of us are specializing in entrepreneurship, some of us are specializing in engineering and all. So in the same vein, when an entrepreneur or business owner is hiring somebody, the person should make sure that at least this person that you are hiring, who is going to enjoy some benefits in addition to wages and salary, which altogether make up the staff cost, should be at least specialized in the field of work. The factor I consider more important is the general enthusiasm to do the work. Now, you can hire somebody, the person is qualified, the person has the experience, the person is specialized, but the person does not have the general enthusiasm to do the work. And so it means that on a daily basis, you go to the workplace or the office and you have to force the person to do the task he or she is entitled to, because the person does not have the enthusiasm or the person does not show any intense interest or eagerness to do the work. So as entrepreneurs, before we hire someone, we should make sure that at least the person exhibits these 4 qualities. Again, in the chat box, if you also have some ideas of some factors entrepreneurs should consider before hiring, you can drop it there. Generally, economists say we have 2 types of costs, the fixed and the variable cost. And as business owners or entrepreneurs, we are faced with these costs as well. Generally, we say that staff costs are considered as fixed costs. So this means that whether the entrepreneur likes it or not, you still have to pay the staff members. And so you have to pay much attention to these type of costs, especially with the fixed costs. Here in this box, I have some examples of fixed and variable costs. Rental fee. We consider rental fee as fixed. Cost of raw materials is considered as variable costs. Wages and salary is also considered as fixed costs. Insurance, interest payment, and advertisements are all considered as fixed costs, whereas commissions paid is considered as variable costs. Now, the fixed cost, as I said, remains the same no matter how much output changes. This means the moment you take the decision to start a business, whether you are making profit or running losses, you're still going to pay these costs. The variable cost, on the other hand, differs or varies with respect to the number of products or outputs produced. Here in this graph, we can see the fixed and the variable cost. Now, this graph, I just drew it. It's not based on any real data, just for the purpose of explanation, to make the explanation a bit more clear. I just decided to draw this. So let's analyze this graph. We can see that when the company was producing 1,000 units, the fixed cost remained at, say, 18. When output increased to 2,000, the fixed cost still remained at 18. Output even increased further to as high as 5,000. The fixed cost still remained at 18. And in the same way, when the company was not producing anything at output 0, fixed cost still remained at 18. Whereas we can see the variable cost increases as output increased from 1,000 to 500. This tells us that staff costs are fixed costs. It means that the entrepreneur incurs this cost no matter what, whether they are producing, whether they are making profits, whether they are making losses. Once the entrepreneur decides to employ someone, to engage the services of someone, you have to pay for these services. And so once there is a contractual agreement between the entrepreneur or business owner and the staff member or employee, then we say that the entrepreneur is obliged to pay not just the wages and salary, but he also has to pay all the other benefits like the social security, pension payments, insurance premium, fringe benefits, and all other benefits that comes with it. And so it is extremely important to consider the factors we stated initially, like the qualification, experience, specialty, and enthusiasm before hiring a staff member so as to prevent losses from occurring. So to conclude and to tie the loose ends, we can say that to manufacture a product or to make provision for service, the role of the human exertion is inevitable. Whether we like it or not, we will need the human capital or the human factor in the production process. So once you employ the human capital or the human factor, you need to compensate them by paying them not just the wages and salary, but also all other benefits that comes with it. And so in a nutshell, the employee costs or staff costs or labor costs can simply be used interchangeably. And what this means is that this is a wider term which includes not just wages and salaries, but all other benefits like bonuses, incentives, payment of pension premiums, etc., that is paid to the employee or that is charged by the laborer for rendering his or her services. Okay, thank you very much for your kind attention. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you too. It was clear, and as I can say, I've learned something today by the types of costs, which is the variable cost and then the fixed cost. And I hope all those who are also online have also learned something. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Irene. Thank you, Elvis and Aja, Mr. 2020. Okay, bye.
Thank you.